Yo, Falama, what is wrong with this dude? I think he's going through an emotional roller coaster right now. What's going on, guys? Welcome in. AA, what's going on? Randy, what up, bro? Yo, Falama is hilarious. This is going through like the biggest emotional roller coaster watching COSTCO go up and down. About $1 and some change. I gotta say though, first and foremost, what's going on, Jason? Today's price action, the close of today's price action basically was kind of a little bit flustering to me. You kind of heard Avery and kind of I want to say a little bit of a similar boat. Just because of the fact that it's kind of hard to say where the directional move is going to be coming tomorrow, because everything points to the fact that we should get continuation to the upside. I think everything points to that way. It's just going to be whether how limited our upside is uh, going into tomorrow, and especially ahead of a long weekend. You would think, since it looks like sentiment's pretty bullish right now. I think there's nothing bearish that should, sentiment-wise, take us back down, and that we should end up closing out the week on a strong note going into a holiday weekend. That would be what I pretty much anticipate. Probably just get a nice gap up, and then they put us in a box to pretty much close out the week. That's pretty much what my gut is telling me right now. But the flip side right now is that a lot of names had a large movement today. Tesla, crazy price action. Amazon basically had a 100-point day. Apple, Amazon, they all strung together. All of tech basically had what a rally that was. I think yesterday I came on, I was like, maybe that Nvidia earnings was going to pretty much drag down the market, but that was going to have a very big impact on whether the market was going to stay bullish or not. That was a hell of a recovery from Nvidia. I think from the bottom to the high of the day was about a near, I think, 20-point move, if not. So a hell of a move out of Nvidia, but AMD kind of stole the show really early on. That $100 mark was definitely a magnet. So that was a beauty. But again, tomorrow, and that's why I kind of stay cash. You heard me saying that on live that I wasn't finding anything in particular that stood out to me. That said that I really wanted to be a bear or I wanted to be a bull. So that was pretty much what the case was. White. I don't know. The funny thing is that I actually have one of those Steel Series mics that actually Tom gave me. That's the funny part. So that part I don't understand why it's just a mic. But then I hear some people can hear me, some people can't. I don't know. It's always a back and forth. That's really just weird. Some can hear me on a computer, some can't hear me on mobile. I don't know what the hell is the case right now. So I still got that's still a work in progress right now. How long it's gonna be a work in progress? I'll be honest with you, I don't know just yet. But hopefully I can figure it out. All right. But again, hopefully most of you I want to stay cash. Obviously all eyes are on Costco earnings right now to see whether that's gonna end up being kind of like a snapback on the market, like how we saw Snapchat basically be a turning point for the market. But other than that, it looks like right now it's gonna basically IV crush. It was a hell of a move that you had intraday here, a 24-point move ahead of the earnings. So it looks like everything that pretty much came out on the earnings was basically in line with what the market expected. And basically what you're seeing right now is just profit taking, being down about roughly $5. It looks like it's just profit taking. All right. Want to see a funny chart to look at PayPal hourly? All right, Jason, I'll take a peep at that. Let's see, why not? The hourly on PayPal. Um, that actually looks like a nice little head and shoulders action going on there. You have a left head, the left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder, and it should drop down. That's basically what I see right there. That's kind of where it looks like. But I kind of see where you're looking at just basically about a $2, $3 move here, kind of like a nice little zigzag, in which it just literally went not much of a place. Where he go? All right, so Lobo can't hear me. It basically looked like chop all day. But I think this was more so about the heavyweights and the Qs. It's more so what I think today was about. There was a lot of names that kind of just chopped it up just a bit. But Energy had a nice day. I think the Qs in general, you see the phenomenal movement across the board. But where do we go tomorrow? I think that's really what everyone's trying to figure out. I think that's really what I wanted to see as well. Coming into basically yesterday afternoon, we had this nice little, I want to say a nice little rising wedge action going on. And then what do we do? Typical market, and we ended up breaking north of a rising wedge, which is typically and ends up being a bearish setup. That was not the case. We broke north of the rising wedge, and we literally just went straight up for gap fill at that 407 mark. So it was a beautiful move. Once you saw it break north of the rising wedge, we broke that hourly downtrend resistance. Then you pretty much knew that the gap fill was basically in sight, and that's what gave you such a strong trend day today. All right, so that kind of felt like it was known. Now the question is, are we able to hold the low of this gap fill basically at this high 403 spot? And do we end up pushing into my next resistance at 410? And above 410, then I'm watching 416. So that's pretty much what I'm looking at in terms of levels. Otherwise, if we can't hold this gap fill, this low of the gap fill here, this 403 spot, then that basically puts us right back to retest the downtrend break back down at 396, which has been a very big and critical level for the most part, as you've seen pretty much dating back towards May 10th here. So 396 feels like a magnet right now. That's really what my gut says after you have such a drastic price action on a lot of names, especially in the Qs basically. AMD being up $6. When was the last time we saw that up being $6? Uh, Tesla already up what 40 something $50 near at one point of the day. That's pretty much looks like it's pretty much already extended, and Amazon having a 100 point day. It looks like we should have some kind of retracement, if not full on retracement, that puts us right back at 396. That's what I'm pretty much telling myself. But then when you flip over to names like pretty much Apple here, if I switch over to this, now you look at this, you have a nice little descending channel action. You had the beautiful break of the downtrend here today, and now it looks like it's kind of setting up for that next leg higher, which could potentially put you at that 145 half. And then above that, you're looking at gap fill sitting between this 147 to 148 level. So looking at Apple, this tells me that we still pretty much have a leg up on Apple, which may end up holding us up for relatively going into tomorrow until we see maybe some retracement come next week be the case. So right now, kind of just playing it both sides, looking at both directions. But that's why we take it level by level, just looking at it, holding 403, then we potentially retrace, we go right back up, and then we can go as high as 416. Of course, 410 is another level that's in between there. Otherwise, we can't hold 403, then I got us coming right back down to 396, which is that magnet that I just mentioned. All right. But what I do like here tomorrow, and this may end up potentially being the 0 day. I haven't decided yet. This depends by morning. But what I expect is that this is likely going to end up taking out this 144 half, and this was going to be a magnet towards that 147 for the gap fill. That's ideally what I'm looking at. If the market stays neutral to bullish, I think that 147, you may even be able to extend that right into the gap fill at that 148 high, and that'll potentially be a cheap lotto for a 0 day tomorrow on Apple. Otherwise, if we can't hold this 143 level, then you come back down to retest at this 140 high, and that may end up being your dip buy spot if it could potentially hold the retest of the downtrend break. All right, so that's basically Apple right now. The other one, of course, everyone was watching was Tesla. Tesla today actually felt like a beautiful little, I want to say it was a scalp more so. Once you ended up breaking what was an ascending channel action, you had that break right around that 715 mark. That actually was a beautiful scalp that I ended up taking from 715. I think I cut it right around 707, 708 was when I took my profits. That was a beautiful breakdown off of that ascending channel. And then the rest of the day, obviously, you see the chop fest that you kind of went through before you made this low here into the power hour. So it's left to be seen. I do have this pretty much going up as high as 737 here. So we could see this continue to extend. Otherwise, then you pretty much risk this coming back down towards 667, 668, and which is going to end up retesting its breakout point from this morning. All right. And that's what I'll be looking for in terms of upside or downside on that one. AMD, it looks like pretty much, I want to say that the bulls are going to try and get trapped under this 100 mark. It really feels that way. Probably going to the hourly. Yeah, the hourly looks better. Um, it really feels like they're gonna end up trapping them under that 100. Obviously, you see that they wicked over at the $100 mark, but if we can reclaim that $100 mark, then I'm looking at this pushing out up to that 103 mark. But I don't pretty much expect beyond that 103 level, for this to extend back-to-back days in that way. All right. I think that's gonna be your pretty much your head-on resistance at that 103 half, and then you should end up pulling back. Other than that, though, if it can't hold this 98 level, then you risk coming back down towards 95 low, which was basically your resistance dating back. That dates back towards the 23rd, the day before yesterday. All right. Well, 2 days ago actually. All right. But other than that, that's pretty much the names that I'm kind of just keeping on the watch on the low key right now. But those were just the ones that crossed my attention. Kind of glancing back at Costco, I wonder if there's any changes right now. All right, so she decided to drop. So that first wick down basically got filled off of Costco. If you heard me and Avery saying that it was down about $13 when we were talking about it, and it just got bought right back up, she filled that wick right back to the downside. So it looks like the market is pretty much just taking profits out of it, given the fact that in the price action you had intraday. I still think this is profit taking. I think that they're pretty much everything came in line with what the market expected. But this is just profit taking. That's all it is right now. But that was a hell of a drastic price action intraday that it had. So kind of made sense. The other one I was watching was Marvel. Marvel's still flat. That did nothing. Zscaler was the other one that reported. They're still flat as well. What other one? We had Workday. That was another one that reported today as well. And Workday is down about $13. So, not much. I mean, it kind of just made another low here. But this pretty much is still within a well-defined downtrend. So nothing that I want to look at with Workday. All right. Let me catch up on some of that. Your advice on Costco now sitting on a put. Kevin, I'm really glad that you ended up banking on that. I was actually thinking, I'm like, who actually was the one that asked me about Costco yesterday? I completely forgot that it was you, Kevin. Because when I started up about $20, I was like, whoever asked me about Costco yesterday, they're literally feasting today. Because that went, I think I mentioned that it was gonna go up about $9. No, I did not expect that to go into the gap fill. Beyond that, to go for a $27 rip. That I did not expect. I don't think there was a lot of people that really expected that kind of price action intraday. You probably saw that $9 move to the upside, and then I would have said that you probably kept a runner. That would have likely gave you even more bank off of that. Last night someone here had Dollar Tree. It popped nicely. Someone did talk about that. I remember someone asking me about Dollar Tree, and wow, that was a nice move. I think I remember actually looking at this descending broadening wedge action, in which you had a nice break right back into the gap fill here over this 144 half, and I would have pretty much said that it was going to retest the ascending broadening wedge action that it had at this 157 mark, but it actually reclaimed inside of the wedge, which is really interesting. Resistance right now pretty much sits at 166 high, 166.83 is where you're looking at resistance. So maybe about another $4 move. If it holds up tomorrow, it's pretty much in the cards. But that was a $29 move. Wow. Hell of a move off of that earnings. All right. Really nice. But other than that, I know tomorrow again. Tomorrow's gonna be Friday. We get a long holiday weekend. Don't try to force holding a weekend swing. Pretty much will be what I would say. But other than that, kind of a mixed feeling in terms of market direction. Apple really tells me that we're gonna go north, and I do see a further upside with Microsoft. I think Tesla's right there to see that 737 mark, in which that's still about another 20 something point move to the upside. So I think we still have a lot of names that have some room to the upside that gives us that bullish close into the end of the week here. And then maybe the Bears can have their fun come next week, is what I anticipate. So pretty much just taking it level by level. Let's see how it plays out tomorrow morning by market open. And then hopefully we have a 0 day. And I think likely Apple might end up truly being that 0 day that I'm likely looking at to kind of play out. All right. But other than that, I'll kind of keep it short and sweet there as we go into a Lotto Friday. But I'll see you guys on live tomorrow. And